Welcome into this week's episode of Bills Pod Squad. Maddy Glab here is your host with my co-host, Bills president and owner, Kim Pegula. I don't want to say this is like our last episode for a while because I wanted this season to just like keep going on, especially after a gut-wrenching loss like we had against the Chiefs. I wanted to make sure we were doing this podcast, at least a couple days after the game, so we had some time to like recoup, think about things, let it digest a little bit, because honestly, I was just down in the dumps for the past couple days and still am. I'm sure you feel the same way, Kim, but I mean, how has the processing been here?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm smiling. I feel like it's just must be some natural mechanism, just because you're still like, can't believe, okay, wait, did that just happen? I know I'm sure some out there that say it's just a football game. I think I've said that maybe sometimes after a game. But yeah, that was a tough one to go through. And you can tell me all the positives about that game. You can tell, and I will agree with all of that. But at the end of the day, you hate to see those missed opportunities. You don't know how many of them you get in a lifetime. And but listen, there's nothing that I can say that our players certainly showed up, especially as we talked about. Josh certainly showed up. If as bad as you feel, as bad as I feel, imagine how our players and our coaches feel. Because I mean, talk about being in the trenches and something like that. I can't even imagine what that is like. So, and again, it's another year under our belt, and there will be another season upon us before you know it.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest things for me, and I'm sure for the players and the coaching staff too, is like you work so hard and you go through everything you went through the ups and downs of this season, through the injuries, through guys getting healthier, just through everything that you work through in those 18 weeks of the regular season, and then you push into the playoffs, and then and it always has to end. We want it to end in a good way, but it ended in a bad way this year. And it's just tough to look back and it's like, you worked that hard to get to that point and fall short of your goal, which I felt like this team was truly capable of this year. But kind of when I think about that, I'm same for you too, probably. It's just like tough knowing that these guys fought so hard and really started to get on that consistent path at the end of the season. And I really felt like they were peaking at the right time, and, just makes it harder to think about.
Yeah, no, it's certainly, as you said, they were doing all the right things going into the postseason. And, talk about luck. I mean, you can look back, you can play Monday morning quarterback and go back through the whole season, and there could be, a dozen little things that could have changed the outcome, even of this game, because maybe this isn't the team you're playing, maybe it's, something else. But again, it's a tough place to be. You can't, you can't kind of drive forward looking back all the time. So, but you do that a little bit. I had somebody sent me one of these like Instagram stories about, calm and, being light. And I was like, and I gave it a thumbs down, and they're like, what's wrong? And I was like, sometimes just embrace the anger. Like, just sometimes you just want that time to be just pissed off, right? And I'm like, I don't want to calm down. I don't need anti-anxiety. I don't want peaceful thoughts. Just let me enjoy being mad and angry, at least for a day, and then I'll be over it, right? Let me just get it out. So that's what I did. But as you know, Maddy, football is 365 days a year. Why our regular season and our postseason is over, that does not mean that football is over. There is so much to do, as you know, with combine and draft, and just the whole process, is just like is a treadmill that keeps spinning. So believe it or not, we're going to be saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe the season's already here. So a lot to do.
Yeah, there's a lot to do and not a lot of time. I mean, the season ends and it's like, hey, the Senior Bowl is next week, and then we have the NFL Combine, and then free agency begins, and oh look, here's the NFL Draft, and the players come back. Like, it is a never-ending circle. It never really feels like you're in the off season, and I know that's the case for you and everything that you have on your plate once the season ends. So, like, how do you begin to wrap up the regular season? Who do you meet with? How do you close the chapter?
Regular season. Well, I actually really our fiscal kind of business year ends in the middle of March. So, at this time you got to just like, I'm not calling Sean and Brandon going, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
They also need some downtime as well. But we usually do a recap, and we usually do it obviously after every game. But with this being our final game, we give it a couple of days. We know players are going to be going out and they're talking to players, and give them some time. So we'll connect with them soon, to kind of just go over some preliminary, not only just the last game, but just, the season overall. And then we usually will meet with them, even later more in March, as we go through kind of the planning and the budget process, and free agency starts, to kind of see where they're at, about understanding, who are we targeting, what does the team look like, who are we able to sign, not sign, things like that. So just, par for the course. It doesn't get routine, but just, you kind of, no matter how you're feeling, you still go through the steps, and still go through the things that, you need to do, because can't do anything about that game. And, if nothing else, this is going to be inspirational to get, past the Kansas City Chiefs, to get to that AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. It's always been the goal. And, I don't think anybody expected it to be an automatic, and this is something that, obviously Brandon and Sean have been building for many, many years. But it's a ride. So you got to keep making sure that you're ready for your next opportunity.
Yeah, totally. And as you begin to reflect on the season and what happened, and the positives that come from it, I mean, what can you say about your quarterback in Josh Allen, and really how he played down the stretch into the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I remember when we were, just talking to Josh before his draft year, and having conversations, and even just the discussion around, who we're going to draft and things like that. The biggest thing that really stood out for us is that we felt, and I think all of us were in agreement, that Josh had the biggest upside, right? So you take a little bit of the risk,
Yeah.
but he has such upside, whether it was because of his size, because of, his lack of experience, or where he played, that kind of was the risk. But the upside, thinking like, but he hasn't even peaked yet. Like, he hasn't even, sometimes you get a quarterback, and yes, they're NFL ready, but maybe they kind of already, kind of peaked. He certainly, and I think, I wouldn't say that he peaked this game, but I will say, just looking back over the years, his progression, did he have a perfect season every game? No, but you want a quarterback that's there when it really, really matters. And he for sure, was there for us, for the team, for all the fans. And I love that it was on such a national stage. And I realized that, we did have a lot of national games this year, and that's, you earn those things as your record gets better. But it was really nice to be able to kind of really, really be relevant, and Josh getting his due. I know he didn't get the Pro Bowl, first ballot, but I think these things like this, I think really says a lot for him as a person, his ability to grow and progress. It's not an easy position. It's not something, sometimes you have a high, and then you go back down again. But yeah, I'm glad we have him tied up for a few years.
Yeah, seriously. Those final two playoff games for him this season were incredible. The way that he scored at will in the fourth quarter of that game and gave the Bills a chance and gave them the lead was like insane in the best way possible. And it was just like, that is the Josh Allen that we know. That is the Josh Allen that we love. I think Dawson Knox said earlier this week, if you're still doubting Josh Allen, then I don't think you know anything about football. And Brandon Beane today said Josh Allen is basically a linebacker playing quarterback. And so all these aspects about this quarterback that we have, I mean, so many people wish that they had that in a quarterback. And I know a lot of people say, like you've alluded to, the luck that you need. There's a little bit of luck that you need too in drafting a quarterback, and it doesn't always work out. And knowing that it has worked out so far, and knowing that you have this type of player that is like, they don't come around every year.
No, no.
What we
And
have
I
is
know
very
he is
unique.
not, I mean, I know he is not satisfied. I mean, it doesn't matter that, the wild card that, he went 7 for 7, drives. It doesn't matter that,
Yeah.
we lost in the last few seconds of this game. He is bound and determined to get better. And he, like I said, the upside is still there. Like, yes, he's gotten better, but there's still more upside, I believe, for him over the next several years. And I know that that's something that he's going to be wanting to make sure that he takes, his opportunity to get better and better every year, regardless of what happens year to year.
And then one more question for you before we head into our guest of this episode, which is NFL Network's Mike Robb. You guys definitely know him from Good Morning Football or from NFL Network if you've tuned in before, because he has been riding with the Buffalo Bills for a few seasons now. I want to say one of the first national guys who really started to sing the Bills' praises and say, hey, watch out for this team. So we thought it'd be cool to wrap up the season for him. But as you also reflect on the year and on the success of the team and on the coaching staff, and maybe the changes that even could happen to this coaching staff, knowing that Brian and Leslie have gotten quite a few interviews, what do you take away from the season as a whole? I mean, we're now into year 5 with Sean and Brandon, and the growth in this team has been a lot, but we're still looking to accomplish the big goal, which is the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think a season like this, you think about last season, I know it was the COVID year, but our record was much better last year than it was even this year. Nothing, nothing is given to you there. Every year it could be different. And I get it. We've got some really great key pieces, especially the quarterback, the foundation is there. But as we talk about, there's a lot of things that are always in flux every year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, I think, really take advantage of that. You don't know what next year is going to bring, who your roster is going to be, your final roster is going to be, I know we know who our opponents are, but we don't necessarily know the makeup of that team. Injuries, I mean, there's just everything. So, as great of a game as that was, there's still a lot we can do, and improving every year, because every year is different. There's only one winner every year, and it's something that doesn't come around that often. So I know Brandon and Coach will be working really hard to really tweak and get better in the smaller details, because at the end of the season, sometimes those little details end up having a big impact. So, and we want to be able to, control our own destiny. So still a lot to do, but yeah, you just can't, enjoy the season.
Mm-hmm.
But, you just can't expect every year to be, like that. So
Totally. I mean, knowing what you have to do to get there, there's so much work that has to go into it. There's so many games that have to be won to even be able to put yourself in the position to play in the playoffs. So yeah, it takes a lot of work. And Brandon said today in his press conference, all of that begins in the off season. It begins with the culture that we have in place. It begins with finding guys who fit that culture, drafting guys who fit that culture. And so he said, like you did, it starts now. It's not like you do take a little bit of a break because you need to, but the work really doesn't stop for anybody. But we'll throw it to our interview with Mike Robb. He is an analyst on NFL Network, appears on Good Morning Football a lot, and also played for the 49ers and the Seahawks. And of course, there's a Penn State connection too. He played collegiately at Penn State and was drafted in the 4th round by the 49ers in 2006. So here's Mike Robb. Mike, Rob, thanks for coming on this podcast as we wrap up the season. I know a lot of us Bills fans, myself and you and Kim, we're not ready to wrap up the season yet because we wish it was still going on. But you know what? We're just going to wrap it up anyways and look towards next season and the off season because hopefully good things are ahead for this team based on how they finished this year. But let's just get right into it. The game, so close. The Bills are so close to winning that one. They played so good down the stretch. I mean, the amount of touchdowns they scored, how Josh Allen performed, so many positives can come out of this. But how are you feeling after that crazy game?
Well, first of all, hello to you two ladies. It's an honor to be on with you guys. The Buffalo Bills are my favorite team in the whole world, on the planet right now. And it's obviously because of the team, but it's because of the leadership and this quarterback, Josh Allen. I mean, this last game, this divisional round, he literally said, okay, team, I don't care what's on the other side. Jump on my back and I'm going to carry you. And even when I played, I was always a believer in, if you're going to pay your quarterback this much money, if he's going to be the face of the franchise, if he's going to be your guy, I don't need him to be great when we're just a better team, right? When we can just hand the ball off to Devin Singletary and run the ball down the field and win the game and just win it that way. I don't need my quarterback to be great then. I need my quarterback to be great when the chips are against us, when, you know, it's divisional playoff matchup and we're the away team. We're in Kansas City. We're in the Chiefs Stadium. And that's when I need my quarterback to be the best man on the planet. And to me, Josh Allen was. I have no issues with the way he played. Love it. The only thing that I possibly could say when I look at this game is from a team speed standpoint, and I think Coach McDermott said it in his post-game press conference, you have to be able to rush a guy like Patrick Mahomes with your front four, drop 7, and be able to get to him with your front four. And I think over the last couple of years, and Kim, I'm going to say we, because I consider myself a Bills fan, right? I mean, a part of Bills Mafia right now. I feel like we need more team speed. Sean McDermott addressed that, but you have to be able to get after guys like Patrick Mahomes with just your front four. I think that first drive from this past weekend's game kind of put it out there. Patrick Mahomes rushed for almost 40 yards on that first drive. To me, that's what we need to look forward to getting better in the offseason, more team speed.
So I know where I was during that game, but Michael, where were you? Were you working? Were you at home chilling like a fan, or you know, how are you watching the game on Sunday?
Kim, I was a fan. I was like the millions of fans, the 30-point-something million fans that tuned in across the world to watch that game. I wanted to work and be at that game, but obviously I worked all during the week, so I couldn't be at the game. But to sit there and just watch the chess match between Brian Daboll and Spagnuolo, to watch the chess match between Andy Reid, and Sean McDermott. To me, I'm a football fan like that. I love to see it. And again, the last 2 minutes, I mean, I almost had a heart attack, guys. I mean, I really did. I had to, get my asthma medicine and all of that stuff straight, because it definitely was a doozy.
Well, I will say, Maddie, and Maddie knows how I watched the game, that I did not see most of the last 2 minutes because I was in the corner praying, just all out, just praying. I was like, I can't do anything down in the field, but heck, I can go up here and pray and make wagers with God about everything.
There you go.
To win this game. So, and it was, like I said, very close. Maybe I should have prayed a little bit harder, but yeah, again, just an incredible game, unbelievable. But that, the whole playoff weekend, and I know it's only been 2 weekends so far, they both have been some crazy matchups and some crazy games. And but I got to say, have you ever played in a game as big as this, as crazy, as so close, like as
No.
Such a good football game?
No, especially Kim, with the back and forth.
Yeah.
Honestly, with 2 minutes left in that game, I almost got up and said the game is over and got on my social media and started saying, Bill, I almost started celebrating. But to see all the fireworks, for lack of better words, that happened in the last 2 minutes. I mean, our game, this National Football League, it's in great hands. When you look at guys like Josh Allen, you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, and just the future of these NFL stars. I'm telling you, our game is in great hands. But one positive that I can take from, this past weekend's game is the experience, the institutional knowledge that Josh Allen gained in that game, that Sean McDermott gained in that game, that all the core pieces of this franchise and this organization gained in that game. It's going to come back in later years, and it's going to help this team win a championship. I see it.
So to that point, a lot of coaches and players say, we're going to learn from this. We're going to come back better from this, whether it be the most recent game or a tough loss throughout the season, whoever team it may be. But since you're a former player, can you break that down for us? Like, how can you learn from the last 13 seconds of that game? How can you learn from the last 2 minutes of that game and really be able to implement it the next time you might be in a similar situation?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have just the outright confidence that it doesn't matter how many seconds are left on the clock. It doesn't matter how many touchdowns you're down or how many points that you're down. That game showed, you know what? There's probably only 5 or 6 guys walking this planet that can battle in a game like that and hold his own weight. Josh Allen's one of those guys. And so when I talk to Bills Mafia on all my social media platforms, and when I see people out in society, it's like, well, hold up. There's only 5 or 6 guys that can do this, and you guys have one of these guys. Okay, so you can rest assured that you're going to be in these situations for the next 10, 20 years as long as this kid stays healthy. So that's one thing that you definitely can rest assured of. Number 2, just being able to have that confidence in knowing that regardless of who's on the other side, because Patrick Mahomes is a bad man too. And let's just be honest, the Buffalo Bills players knew exactly who was on the other side. It gives you the confidence to know that it could be Tom Brady over there. It could be Peyton Manning, reincarnation of Peyton Manning over there. It doesn't matter because we got a guy, and we got a guy that can go throw for throw, run for run, and sometimes tackle for tackle. I've seen him make some big time tackles on interceptions. With the best of them. So to me, it's just having that confidence that it just doesn't matter the hurdle in front of you. This team can overcome it. And again, I just saw some of the shots of Josh Allen on the sideline on Sunday night, just how intense he was. In his mind, he wasn't going to lose that game. Again, the institutional knowledge will come back to help this guy later on in his career.
Go ahead, Kim.
I was going to say, I know we're supposed to be interviewing you, but we're having a conversation about football. After the game, though, and I think you have seen this as a player, everyone talks about it's a long season. We talk about, kind of pacing yourself, having to, hit your stride in that last season. So what I really saw or thought through after the game, and this is, obviously right after the loss, was the fact that you need a little luck, right? And I know we all know that, but just think about the little things that happened all season long that if they're, one play that could have changed us. And so we're now the 1st seed, right? It was, maybe it was the Bengals. If they won their last game, we would have been, the 4th seed playing Tennessee first and not Kansas City until maybe the AFC Championship game. A lot of little things that you think, oh, it's a long season, it's like you're not going to win them all, but boy, at the end of when your season's over,
don't do it, Kim.
About all those things.
Don't do it.
Mattered.
Don't do it, because the more you think about it, the more you just gonna, excuse my language, but just piss yourself off because you're gonna look at, well, what if we had played better here? What if we had beat Jacksonville here? What if we had did this? What if we had did that? And it just makes you upset because at the end of the day, you knew you had the team. At the end of the day, you knew you had the quarterback. You knew you got to put the coaches in place. It just pisses you off. And at the end of the day, when I think about it, it makes me mad. And I'm not even in the organization. I'm just a fan, and it makes me upset. So if I'm part of Bills Mafia, you can only look forward to the future. Don't look back. Yes, this was a great season. I think that the defense showed, and Leslie Frazier and that entire defensive staff showed, you can have a championship defense along with a franchise quarterback. Let me repeat that. You can have a championship defense, a shutdown defense, along with one of those guys in the National Football League, because traditionally we didn't usually see that. You didn't always see the Aaron Rodgers with a great defense. You didn't see the Patrick Mahomes with a great defense, or the Peyton Manning, except for his last year, with a great defense. I think when you talk about Bills Mafia and the Buffalo Bills, we have all the ingredients. I think maybe we draft another tackle in this year's draft, because I do think our right tackle is more of a swing guy than a starter. I think we draft a tackle. I think we draft more pass rushers, things like that, to just get more athletic as a team. But the core pieces are there, guys. Kim, you guys have done a great job building this team.
I only went down that rabbit hole, like Grace said, right after the game, and then the next day I found myself back out. So
there you go.
But yeah. I mean, that's the only thing you can do, right? Looking forward. And you as a player, I know we have a couple of players on our team, that I don't know if this is their last year with our team or not. We haven't made those decisions yet, but you may be thinking about what are they going to do post-career. But as you said, you've had a great career in the NFL, and transitioning now to post-NFL and getting in broadcast, which a lot of people do. What was that like for you? Kind of take us on that path. Was that always predetermined or a little luck?
So Kim, I had a coach when I was 9 years old tell me in youth football. I run youth football in the state of Virginia. That's where I live. I had a youth football coach when I was 9 years old. We were getting ready for a game, and I was playing quarterback at the time. And I remember a lot of chaos at practice. Coach was trying to talk. He was trying to get our attention. Kids were all over. We were 9-year-olds, 8, 9-year-olds, right? Kids all over the place. Coaches can't get us straight. And I remember looking like, we have a game tomorrow, and this is the way our practice is looking. I don't know where it came from, but and I just yelled like, guys, shut up. We have a game. And literally everybody stopped. Every player on the field stopped. Every grown coach stopped. And I remember the head football coach at the time, he pulled me to the side and he said, Mike, dude, whoa, like that was powerful. And you're a powerful speaker. When you speak, people listen. So you have a lot of responsibility. You're going to have to watch the books you read, the TV shows you allow yourself to see, the music you allow to go into your brain, because you have a gift with speaking and communicating. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about at the time. I just was like, whatever, coach, we got to get ready for this game. But it did stick with me. And to me, I would not be in the national media right now if it wasn't for that coach telling me exactly what I was good at when I was 9 years old. I wouldn't be here right now. I'm a national speaker. I talk about leadership. I do corporate speaking engagements, all of those things. I'm in the national media. And even when I was playing, guys, I created something called the Real Rob Report. Basically, it was a locker room video type of a series. I bought my own cameras. I started interviewing players during our lunch breaks. Again, it wasn't real. It wasn't any substance. It was more like Richard Sherman, what's your favorite pregame snack? Gushers, right? He would say that on the show. And then we get 60 boxes full of Gushers 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? And it really opened things up. And my goal was, I want to be in the national media one day, but I just don't want to, when I'm getting paid to do that, I don't want to have a bunch of mistakes. So I created a show to get all my mistakes out while I was in the National Football League. I've always known I was going to be right here. I tell people all the time, I'm not here by mistake. This is on purpose. I think we're all conscious creators, and whatever we focus on becomes our reality. And guys, I can't lie to you. I've focused on the national media. I've thought about the national media ever since I was 9 years old, and that coach told me what I was good at. So I look at the game a little differently. I look at the game of football as a skill developer or a skill identifier, because as young people, there's a 1.6 chance that our babies will make it to the National Football League, where we're all involved in right now. And that number tells me that it's a 98.4% chance that your baby is going to be doing something else in life. And so we need to use the game of football to identify what our young people are good at. And that's what I do with youth football in the state of Virginia. I'm on the NFL Youth Advisory, Legends Youth and High School Advisories Committee, which we write the football curriculum for, young people and parents and coaches across the football world. And so my transition to life after football was on purpose. It was with purpose. And I couldn't wait to be here. It was crazy. I remember playing thinking, when is this going to be over for me? I'm tired of getting beat up, but I love what the game of football has afforded to me. And it taught me what I was good at. And it's communicating. And that's what I do now.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Maddy, that, to Michael's point, I saw that the Kansas City Chiefs, have donated dollars to the Oshai Foundation. And, stories like that in such a heartbreaking game, that's more about what football is. And that's what you're talking about, Mike, right? What are the skill set? What are the positives that the game allows us to do? And just like, we've done that, I know, to multiple organizations with competing teams that we've done in the past. But to your point, Mike, I totally agree. There's so much more. Despite the wins and losses and the record, there's so much more to football that is for everyone. And I really appreciate, especially working with our youth, because I guess, especially in today's time, it's not easy being a kid.
No.
And it, any help that we can give them, certainly, I think is going to go a long ways.
Absolutely. And just showing that different communities can come together. I love seeing packed stadiums. Like, I really do. I love to see, Bills place just packed with fans, all different colors and creeds, all different social economic backgrounds. I always say the best invention ever, and I think I may have stole this from another coach somewhere, was the best invention ever was the huddle, because it does not matter where you come from. We are in this together to achieve a common goal. And I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you come from. And that's really how we should be as human beings. So yeah, football teaches us a whole lot.
Right. Well, you can be in my huddle anytime.
Thank you, Kim.
You have used your platform that you have on NFL Network and in the national media to talk about the Bills, and that's how we first found out that you were a part of Bills Mafia and a fan. You told us it happened in 2019, which in 2019 there were some people riding with us, but there weren't a lot of people riding with the Bills yet. Now in 2021, there's plenty of people who ride with Bills Mafia, but I will coin you as one of the OGs of the national media to really ride with us. So I appreciate that a lot, because you saw the talent in this team before a lot of people did. How did you become a Bills fan? And what was the moment when you're like, yeah, this team is going to be good, and I want to start cheering for them and start talking about them on national TV?
Well, it started when I was young, like, those 4 Super Bowl, and I don't mean to bring it up, guys, but those 4 Super Bowl appearances and losses back in the 90s was something that I was a big fan of. Bruce Smith was a guy that I knew he was from the Virginia area. He's a guy that I've always looked at and admired, right? For his intensity on the field and off. He's a great human being. I've had a chance to talk to him and meet him a few times. So the fandom kind of started with all those wins, the Jim Kelly era, Andre Reed, all of those guys. It started there. And then, I just kind of watched the team play throughout the years. I've played against them once or twice. I think once we played them. Sorry, guys, but we beat the mess out of you guys in Toronto one year when I played for the Seahawks. And then when I played for the Niners, y'all beat us, in Buffalo. And that was the first time I came in contact with Beast Mode. Marshawn Lynch, he's one of my best friends right now. So when I first met Beast Mode in the tunnel, he was coming to the stadium at the time, and I was on my way to walk out for pregame warmups. He was just arriving. That's when I first met him, and I'm like, oh man, Beast Mode ain't what they say he is. He's actually pretty cool. I thought, just from the national media, I thought he was a little cuckoo, a little crazy. But when I actually got a chance to talk to him, I'm like, man, this dude's a good dude. And then he went out there and ran for a crazy amount of yards, and then y'all beat us. And I'm like, okay. All right, the Buffalo Bills are okay. Fast forward some years later, I get to 2019. I'm on Good Morning Football. And, we're talking about teams we're excited about. And I saw some of the things that, you guys had done in the offseason, how you guys, I'm a running back, so I'm always talking about the offensive line and the line of scrimmage, how you guys took care of the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. I'm like, damn, this team's going to be pretty good. Everything starts at the line of scrimmage. And so as I was doing my dissertation on Good Morning Football, the life force kind of came through me, and it just kind of came out like, man, I think I'm a Bills Mafia fan. I think the Bills Mafia, I think the Bills are going to be one of those teams that teams are going to have to deal with. I think I was probably 18 months too early, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, guys. I said it, and I put it out there, and then I just started riding with you guys, and you guys have made me look pretty good, especially that Josh Allen. Could you guys tell him to tweet me back sometimes? I swear I try to tag him in every single tweet I say about the Bills, but I haven't got him to tweet me back yet. Hopefully one day.
Michael, I thought you were going to say, you know, it was the Penn State connection that made you become a Buffalo Bills fan.
That was coming. That was coming. I was talking just strictly on the football, you know, on the field, how you built the team type of a deal. But I didn't even get into the story of how I went to the hockey building out there in State College. And when I realized that you guys blessed our university with an awesome gift. And when I saw what the gift afforded, I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I didn't want to go into that, Kim, because I know that's a whole nother story. But yeah, you guys, Penn State, we love you.
Well, I think, you know, our Bills Mafia, as you can see, and if you come to our games, is very similar to a college setting.
Absolutely.
And I've been to, obviously, and saw you play at Penn State many times, and just that atmosphere that you know, collegiate sports brings, especially at Penn State, and especially in a whiteout and some of those memorable games. You know, that same feeling is often compared to Bills Mafia being here on the campus with the campers we have and all the tailgating that we're going on. And the one thing that I still never get over, Maddie, is the fact that seeing grown men like in their 50s and older, like just being all crazy, whether it's, you know, costumes and makeup, but you see them at Penn State. It's like people like come in every weekend. It's like, do you have a job? It's like, they don't care. Like they're in this, like these campers and acting crazy. And you're like, hey, you're like over the hill. You should be like, you know,
Kim, that's why they do it. They do it because they had a long week at work. They do it because they spent all week and all year doing things for their job and to the bottom line. They let it all out on game day. That's when they can just let their true colors fly, man. Bills Mafia, stand up. I love it. You know, I don't know if I'm going to jump through a table yet, because I don't know if I'm going to do that. I got to be hot outside for me to do that. But I love you guys as fans. They're awesome.
Well, since you've been riding with us since 2019, I mean, what do you think about the future for this team based on the way they finished this season? We just heard from Sean McDermott yesterday. We heard from Brandon Beane today, and they both agreed with each other in that there's a lot of positives to take away from this season. We didn't finish the year how we wanted to, but we believe that we have a lot of the right pieces in place that can get us to that big goal, which is the Super Bowl. So where do you think this team is headed in your eyes based on what you've seen and coming from the standpoint of being a former player?
Yeah, to me, a Lombardi is in the future. I mean, it is. You can't have, again, I talked about one of those guys that are walking this planet. You got Josh Allen's one of those 5 or 6 guys that can do it. And I think that game last week just showed it. I mean, he put the team on his back and say, I got you. And everybody had the eyes like, yeah, we believe you, Josh. And so for me, I have great confidence in this team moving forward. You have great leadership in place. I think Sean McDermott is an awesome leader. I think that he treats the media with respect. And at the end of the day, in turn, we tell a great story about Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills. So I love, from a leadership standpoint, what's going on. You have the quarterback, you have the leadership. I do think that you have the line of scrimmage guys, right? I do think from the last couple of drafts, how you've built your pass rushers up. Have you built that offensive lineup? Again, I do think you still are going to need another tackle, maybe another guard also drafted. But you guys have the offensive line. You guys have the defensive line. You have the line of scrimmage. You got the secondary now. The secondary didn't play the best game this past week, but you guys have the secondary. In my experience, when you have offensive line and you have secondary, that's the engine and the battery to your car. You're going to always be in games. You're going to always have a chance to go far in playoffs. So you guys have that. So now it's all about just, I don't know, the small little details. Maybe you get a speedster. Obviously, I saw Isaiah McKenzie start to be injected into this offense. You need a guy. You need a guy to match up with a guy like Tyreek Hill from a speed standpoint. You need a guy on your offense that an opposing defense is going to have to deal with. Those are just some of the things. And again, as we go on through the offseason and as the team does more evaluations, you guys will figure out exactly what you guys need. But at the end of the day, it's nothing huge. You got teams out there that need a left tackle. You got teams out there that need a quarterback or a pass rusher. Those things the Buffalo Bills don't have to worry about.
All right, maybe it's a little bit too early, but Super Bowl predictions?
Ooh.
Oh, so look, Kim, I'm so glad that you asked that. So early in the season, week 1, I was on Good Morning Football, and I was trying to get my Buffalo Bills into that Super Bowl game. And I said, it'll be my Buffalo Bills against the Los Angeles Rams, right? But for the Bills to get there, every time I picked them in big games, right, they didn't necessarily win. So what I did was I used some reverse psychology and I picked Kansas City to get there, hoping that it would be the Buffalo Bills instead. Well, I didn't have enough time to explain all of that. So the visuals are going to say my Super Bowl picks were right. The Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Rams. And I hate to say it, but I think Kansas City will win it again. Yeah, I hate to say it. But at least you can say from a Buffalo Bills standpoint, you lost to the champions. That's some solstice in that.
Yeah, that there is some solstice in that. Maybe a little bit. I don't know if I'm ready to accept it yet.
Yeah, I don't know, Michael, if you go to the Super Bowl or not, but I go every year. A lot of work and business to be done there.
Yes.
This year though, it's going to be a lot tougher to go. But absolutely, I'll be there.
I will be there too. So hopefully we can catch up. I'm gonna give each other a high five or something, and yell Bills Mafia really, really loud because I think they'll be there within the next.
I might have to call you up to get me into some parties there.
I'm on it. I got it. I got that NFL player card. You know what I'm saying? I got you.
There you go.
He's got front line everything. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about the season with us, to recap the good times, some of the bad times, and look forward to the future here with this team. We appreciate your fandom. We love that you're rooting for us, and we love that you help get Bills Mafia on TV.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure talking with you.
Pleasure talking to you too. Holler at me anytime. I'm always available for you.
Okay, Kim, so as we look to the off season and all the events that are on the schedule, like I said in the beginning, the Senior Bowl, the Pro Bowl, the Combine, the Super Bowl, free agency, there's so many things that just happen in the next couple of months. So what does the off season look like for you? I'm sure number one on your list, aside from meeting with Sean and Brandon, is you'll be going out to the Super Bowl too.
Yep, I will be. The off season is not as structured as in the regular season. So but still, I think a lot of the work actually gets done in the off season, right? A lot of the planning, both on business side and on the football side. So hopefully we are done with COVID. I want to be able to say that with complete confidence, and so that we can plan off season and next season with just being ourselves, and get back to the pre-COVID experiences that we all had. But yeah, no, a lot goes into the planning. The Combine is always a fun event because everybody is there. I don't do the evaluating, but I love listening into the interviews with the players, and it's also I think it's fun because you can't have all of them, right? And so as they get drafted by other teams and then you start playing, you're like, oh wait, I remember that guy. So the Combine is always a lot of fun. And then just really, I think this year, maybe more than, previous years, with Joe Shane leaving, is there, some adjustments, on the coaching staff that may happen, and how does that shake out? So a lot of that type of discussions are going to be happening. But yeah, I'll be at Super Bowl. I mean, this year.
You're like,
LA.
do I have to go? I don't want to go.
I will say, I think Terry bailed. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot, as you know, Super Bowl is not just about the game. In fact, I think that's the least part of the game for me. But so, yeah, I'll be heading out to LA as well. And I think we have another little small project we're still working on that, I'm hoping we get, some definitive answers to in the next couple of months. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any stadium updates, or as we get into off season, I know the focus is also on the stadium during the regular season because you're trying to make things work. You're trying to meet with people, talk to people, get a plan in place or an idea in place, to then, start working on it in the off season when you have some free time. So what is the off season you think going to look like in terms of how the stadium talks continue and progress?
Well, we are much closer than we were back at the beginning of the season. So that's a good thing. So we are progressing, we are moving forward. I think there's, some cautious optimism. Maybe that's the correct word for it. So no deal yet, but again, we've are much closer than we were before, and keeping my fingers crossed. And obviously, if there is an update, we'd let everybody know, but nothing official yet.
All right. Well, we'll wonder when that update comes, and hopefully it comes soon for you guys, because I know you've put a lot of hard work and a lot of your time into this. And like you said before, it's your Super Bowl. So we hope that it's everything that, you guys want it to be. And Bills Mafia trusts you guys, and everybody's excited for what is to come here in Buffalo and what's to come for this team. And, as we move through the off season, a lot of good things to look forward to, a lot of things to, hang your hat on about this season, and hopefully a lot of positives here in the future, as it feels like we're just getting started, but also at the same time, it feels like, Sean and Brandon have been here for a while. I can't believe Josh Allen is in his 4th year. We're in a good middle here, where it's not like anybody's too new anymore. Like, everybody knows what's expected of them. Everybody's been here long enough to know how everything works. So hopefully that means you hit the ground running when this group gets back together.
Yeah, I totally agree on that part. And you just bring in some new blood, if you want to call it that, some new ideas, some just tweaking things here and there. But yeah, I expect that, we're going to be in the same position at some point next year.
Yes.
But a lot to do before we even get there.
Well, Kim, enjoy the off season. We're going to take a break from the podcast, I think, for a little while, because we have other things to do. I know you have a lot to look forward to, but we may pop in here as we hit some big points of the off season. So make sure you stay tuned, but you guys enjoy the off season too. Take a chance to relax and reset. Yeah.
Thank you to all our listeners for hanging in with us all season long. So
yeah. We appreciate the listeners. It's been another fun season. This is episode 20, I want to say. So thanks for hanging on with us and listening to all our really cool guests. We hope there's a lot of fun in store for us too. So we will talk to you guys down the road then.
All right.